Discipline usually doesn't collapse because you're weak. It collapses because your day is leaking in places you don't notice until it's too late. A little attention gone here, a little energy drained there, a small emotional spike you carry for hours. And by the time you finally sit down to do the thing you said mattered, you're already empty, and your brain starts bargaining in a voice that sounds reasonable. So this is a 7-day reset, but it's not a motivational challenge. It's closer to emergency maintenance. We're not trying to turn you into a different person. We're trying to stop the silent bleeding that keeps turning your promises into fantasies. Here's the simple idea that makes the whole week work. Discipline isn't built by adding more pressure. It's built by removing friction and removing options. The Stoics were blunt about this. Marcus Aurelius didn't tell himself to feel inspired. He told himself to do his duty and stop acting like comfort was a vote that mattered. Not because he was cold, because he understood how quickly the mind invents excuses when it's tired, overstimulated, or emotionally hijacked. This reset is subtraction first. Each day we'll install one switch you can enforce immediately, and you'll feel the effect fast. Not as a vibe, but as a cleaner mind. Less noise, less negotiation, more follow-through. One small thing to do right now as you listen, just mentally, no notes needed. Picture your day as a bucket with 3 holes. One hole is attention, one is energy, one is emotion. By the end of today, you're going to know exactly where those holes are for you, and you're going to plug them with something so simple you can't pretend it's complicated. Because once the leaks are sealed, everything else gets easier. Sleep becomes easier to protect. Food becomes easier to simplify. Work becomes easier to start. You stop needing hero moments. Day 1 is called Stop the Leaks, and it's the highest leverage day of the week, because you're not fighting discipline yet. You're removing the things that quietly kill it. A leak is anything that drains you without paying you back. That's the definition. It might feel small in the moment, but it compounds. And once you start noticing leaks, you realize most people aren't failing because they lack willpower. They're failing because they're trying to build discipline on top of a day that's already leaking from 3 directions. You're going to find 3 leaks: 1 attention leak, 1 energy leak, 1 emotion leak. Then you're going to plug each with 1 switch, 1 enforcement move, not a philosophy. Start with attention, because attention is the first currency you spend. Attention leaks are the moments you lose your mind before you even start your day. The quick check that turns into 20 minutes, the open tabs, the notifications, the impulse to chase novelty because novelty feels like relief. The problem isn't that you check your phone. The problem is that you check it before you've chosen what matters, which means your day begins under someone else's agenda. So, pick your number 1 attention leak. It's usually one of 2 things, either your phone in the first hour or your phone between tasks. Now, plug it with a switch that is enforceable, not inspirational. That means physical friction. If the leak is morning phone use, the switch is simple. The phone sleeps outside the bedroom, or across the room, or in a drawer. Somewhere your body has to stand up and walk to it. You're not trying to become pure. You're making distraction inconvenient. Your brain respects inconvenience. If the leak is between task checking, the switch is this: no quick checks until you complete 1 defined work unit. 1 email, 1 paragraph, 1 page, 1 set, 1 small finish line. Your mind can have its dopamine after you've proven you can act. That's the training. Short landing line. Reward follows effort, not impulse. Now, energy. Energy leaks are the things that make you feel like you should be able to do more, but you can't. This one is usually sleep-related, food-related, or environment-related. But you don't need to solve your whole health profile today. You need one leak and one plug. The most common energy leak is unstable blood sugar from chaotic eating, snacking, skipping meals, then crashing and craving. Another common leak is dehydration plus caffeine, where you're basically trying to run your nervous system on stimulants while your body is underfueled. Another leak is late-day caffeine that steals your night. Choose the one that you know is real for you. Then use one switch. Here are examples that work, because they're simple. If your energy leak is chaotic food, your switch today is 2 meals, same time, no improvising. If your energy leak is dehydration, your switch is water before caffeine, every morning, no negotiation. If your energy leak is late caffeine, your switch is a cutoff. Pick a time and protect your night. You're not chasing optimization. You're stabilizing the system so your brain stops bargaining later. Now, emotion. This is the leak people underestimate most because it doesn't look like discipline. It looks like your mood. But mood is fuel. If you leak emotion, you lose the ability to execute. An emotion leak is anything that hooks you into rumination, comparison, anger or anxiety, and keeps you there. A comment thread, a person who triggers you, a recurring argument in your head, a news feed that spikes your stress. The leak isn't the emotion itself. The leak is the time you spend rehearsing the emotion. So pick the biggest one. Then plug it with one switch that protects your mind the way a door protects your home. If the leak is a specific app or feed, your switch is a 7-day mute. Not forever, just a week. If the leak is a person who drags you into drama, your switch is a boundary. You delay responses, you keep it short, you don't enter the argument. If the leak is internal, rumination, the switch is a reset action. The moment you catch the loop, you stand up and walk for 5 minutes. Not to feel better, to break the chemistry. Short landing line. Your body can interrupt your mind faster than your mind can argue with itself. Now here's the finishing move that turns day one into a real reset instead of a nice idea. Tonight, you set up tomorrow, so the switches are automatic. Put the phone where you said it goes. Decide the 2 meals or the caffeine cutoff. Pre-commit the boundary. The reset works when the environment does the enforcing, not your mood. And if you do nothing else today, do this. Identify the 3 leaks and install the 3 switches. That alone will make you feel more disciplined tomorrow, because what you'll really be feeling is less bleeding. Next is day 2, the sleep anchor, because once the leaks are plugged, you lock the foundation. A tired brain will always bargain and call it realism. Day 2 is the sleep anchor, and I want you to treat it like the load-bearing wall of the whole reset, because if sleep is unstable, everything else becomes a negotiation you keep losing. You already know this from experience. When you're tired, your standards don't disappear. They just get relabeled. I'll do it tomorrow starts sounding like wisdom. I deserve a break starts sounding like self-care. I can't focus today starts sounding like realism. And the scary part is how convincing it feels, because a tired brain doesn't argue like a lazy brain. It argues like a lawyer. So the move this week is not sleep better in the abstract. It's 1 bedtime and 1 wake time held steady for 7 days, so your nervous system stops improvising. Here's the chain that matters. Consistent wake time stabilizes your internal clock. Your internal clock stabilizes sleepiness at night, and stable sleepiness reduces the urge to scroll, snack, or chase stimulation when you should be winding down. You're not forcing sleep. You're letting the system remember what it already knows how to do. Now, Choose your wake time first. That's the anchor. Bedtime is important, but wake time is the lever that sets everything else. Pick something realistic, not heroic. You're building a repeatable life, not trying to win a week. Once wake time is set, bedtime becomes a boundary, not a debate. And the boundary isn't about being strict. It's about protecting tomorrow's mind, because tomorrow's discipline is manufactured tonight. The next piece is the screens down moment. Not because screens are evil, but because your brain responds to stimulation. Bright light, novelty, conflict, endless inputs. They keep your system in day mode. Even if you fall asleep, your sleep can be thinner, more fragmented, more restless. You wake up and you don't feel restored, and then you're tempted to fix the feeling with caffeine and chaos. So, pick a simple rule you can actually follow. One clear point in the evening when the screen stops being the main event. If you can't imagine turning it off completely, fine. Change the content and change the posture. Put the phone down, switch to something low stakes, lower the brightness, and stop consuming things that spike emotion. You're not trying to be virtuous. You're trying to be calm enough to descend. Short landing line. Your night should feel like a landing, not a takeover. Then there's one more lever that makes this week almost unfairly easier. Morning light. Get outside early in the day, just enough to tell your brain, day starts now. That signal sets the internal timer that helps sleep arrive later. People try to fix sleep at night, but the clock is mostly trained in the morning. Now let's talk about the thing you'll want to do if you've been sleeping badly. Compensate. Sleep in. Drift your schedule. Catch up. I get it. But during this 7-day reset, the goal is to stop the drifting. If you had a rough night, you don't punish yourself, but you also don't change the anchor. You keep wake time steady, and you let sleep pressure rebuild naturally for the next night. That's how you exit the loop. And if you're thinking, but what if I'm exhausted? Yes, you may be. That's the withdrawal period from inconsistency. It's not forever. It's the body realigning. 1 week of steadiness will teach you more than months of random trying. So tonight, make it concrete. Decide the bedtime. Decide the wake time. Decide when screens go down or at least lose intensity. Then set up the environment so you don't have to be heroic in the moment. Phone out of reach, charger away from the bed, lights dimmer, room a bit cooler if you can. You're building a runway. Because tomorrow, when you wake up, the question isn't, do I feel motivated? The question is, did I protect my brain's ability to say no today? Sleep is what gives you that ability. Next is day 3, food simplicity, because once your sleep is anchored, the fastest way to ruin your follow-through is unstable energy and constant decision fatigue around eating. Day 3 is food simplicity, and it's not about dieting. It's about removing a daily negotiation that quietly eats your discipline alive. Most people don't realize how much willpower they spend on food decisions. What should I eat? When should I eat? Should I snack? Should I order? Should I be good today? Every question is a fork in the road. Every fork creates mental friction. Then later you try to do your hard task, and you're already worn down from a dozen tiny decisions that didn't matter as much as you thought. This day is about building a predictable fuel system so your brain stops bargaining with hunger, cravings, and energy crashes. Here's the principle. The less you negotiate, the more you follow through. So for the next 7 days, choose 2 repeatable meals and 1 simple backup snack. That's it. 2 meals that are boring enough to repeat and satisfying enough to keep you stable, and 1 backup snack that prevents the "I'm starving so I'll eat anything" moment. Think of it like giving your discipline a stable floor. When food is chaotic, your energy is chaotic. When energy is chaotic, your mood is chaotic. And when mood is chaotic, your discipline becomes a fairy tale. Short landing line: stable fuel creates stable choices. Now keep it practical. Your meals don't need to be perfect. They need to be repeatable. Aim for meals that are built around protein, some whole food carbs if you tolerate them well, and something with fiber. The exact macros aren't the point. The point is that your body feels steady instead of spiking and crashing. A simple example looks like eggs and fruit, or yogurt with berries, or oatmeal with protein, something you can make without thinking. Another looks like chicken or fish with rice and vegetables, or ground meat with potatoes and a salad. Simple and reliable. If you're vegetarian, same idea. Greek yogurt, tofu, beans, lentils. Choose what works for you. The rule is not clean. The rule is repeatable. Your backup snack is the safety net. It's what prevents you from ordering chaos because you waited too long. Something like nuts, a piece of fruit, a protein bar, yogurt, or a simple sandwich. Again, not perfect. Stable. Now, timing. A lot of people sabotage their discipline with one pattern. They wait until they're ravenous. Then they eat whatever is closest and most rewarding. Then they crash. Then they feel guilty. Then they start tomorrow. Food simplicity removes that storyline by removing the extreme hunger moment. So build a basic schedule for the week. Not strict, just consistent enough to prevent the crash cycle. The goal is fewer peaks and valleys. You want your day to feel like a steady road, not a roller coaster. And there's another hidden win. Simplicity reduces decision fatigue. When you already know what you're eating, your brain doesn't spend the day thinking about food. That mental space returns to your hard task. Now, if you're thinking, but I like variety, good. You can earn variety after the reset. Right now, variety is a trap if it creates daily negotiation. Discipline loves boring systems. So today, do 3 things. Pick the 2 meals. Pick the backup snack. Then remove the sabotage. If your kitchen is full of easy dopamine, junk that's effortless to grab, don't start a moral war with it. Just create friction. Put it out of sight. Put the snack you chose in the front. Make the good choice the easy choice. Short landing line. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on setup. And notice what this day is really doing. It's not making you healthy, it's making you reliable. It's stabilizing your energy so the next day, the most important day of the reset, can actually work. Because day 4 is where we flip the reward system. One hard task before dopamine. That one rule changes your identity fast because it trains your brain that effort comes first and reward comes after. Day 4 is the pivot. This is where the reset stops being cleaning up your life and becomes training. One hard task before dopamine. Because your discipline isn't only threatened by stress, it's threatened by reward. The modern world gives you reward on demand, scrolling, videos, messages, snacks, checking just one thing, and your brain learns a simple rule. When I feel friction, I escape into pleasure. Over time, that rule becomes automatic. You don't even feel like you're choosing it. You just drift. Day 4 reverses the order. You're teaching your brain a different law. Reward follows effort, not as a quote, as a lived pattern. Here's why this works. Dopamine isn't pleasure. Dopamine is the engine of wanting. It's what pulls you toward the thing. If you begin your day by feeding that engine with easy novelty, you make normal effort feel boring by comparison. Then, later, when you try to do the hard task, it feels heavier than it should, and your mind starts chasing the easier thing again. You've trained your reward system to treat work like a punishment. Short landing line, early dopamine makes real life feel dull, so the rule today is clean. Before any entertainment, scrolling, or quick checks, you complete one defined hard work block. Not 10 blocks. Not a perfect morning routine. One block. And it has to be defined. Undefined work is where procrastination lives. I should work on my project is fog. I will write 300 words is a target. I will do 30 minutes of deep work on one file is a target. I will do the first 20 minutes of the workout is a target. The block needs a start and a finish line. Then you protect the beginning with friction. This is crucial. If your phone is near you, your brain will ask for just a check, and that check will open 10 doors you didn't mean to open. So the rule is physical. Phone out of reach, tabs closed, notifications off for the block. You're not fighting temptation. You're preventing it from entering the room. Now the emotional part. When you start the hard block, your mind will resist. It will feel like pressure in your chest, restlessness, a sudden urge to clean something, to research something, to plan instead of do. That discomfort is not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's the exact moment you're training. If you can sit inside that discomfort for a few minutes, something flips. The brain adapts. Momentum appears. And you realize most of your procrastination was not laziness. It was intolerance for the first 5 minutes. So treat the beginning as the workout. If you want a simple method that works when you feel resistance, use a countdown start, not as a gimmick, as a decision marker. In 10 seconds, I begin. Then you begin. You don't need confidence. You need initiation. Your confidence comes after you move. Short landing line. Action creates the mood you were waiting for. Now, after you finish the block, you reward yourself. This matters. You're not trying to be a monk. You're rewiring the sequence. Work first. Reward second. Then the brain begins associating effort with satisfaction instead of associating effort with deprivation. And the reward doesn't have to be big. It can be coffee, a walk, 10 minutes of scrolling, music, anything that feels like a release. But it comes after. That after is the whole point. Here's how to make day 4 measurable. At the end of the day, ask yourself one question. Did I earn my dopamine today? If you did, you won. Even if everything else was messy, because that one win trains identity. I don't escape first. I execute first. Now, day 5 matters because it's the hidden enemy of discipline, social noise, comparison, drama, and constant access to other people's moods. If your environment keeps injecting emotional friction, you'll keep leaking energy no matter how motivated you are. So tomorrow, we cut the social friction. One channel, one boundary, 7 days. Day 5 is social friction cut, and it's more important than most people want to admit, because your discipline isn't only a personal battle. It's a social ecosystem problem. If your inputs are noisy, you become noisy. If your environment keeps injecting comparison, drama, urgency, and other people's emotions, your nervous system stays activated. Then, you try to build discipline inside a body that feels like it's constantly on. That's like trying to write a book in a room where someone keeps turning the lights on and off. So, today is about one question. Where does your peace get stolen? Not where it gets challenged in a healthy way, where it gets stolen by pointless conflict, endless updates, social comparison, or a relationship loop that leaves you emotionally drained and mentally scattered. This is what Marcus means when he keeps warning himself about other people's behavior. He isn't telling you to hate people. He's telling you to stop handing them your inner state. He knows you're going to meet difficult personalities. The discipline is not controlling them. The discipline is controlling your access. Short landing line. Peace is fuel. Protect the fuel. Now, don't make this vague. Choose one social channel or loop that injects the most noise. Usually it's one of these: a specific group chat that never ends, a social media feed that spikes comparison, a person who pulls you into drama, or a work communication pattern that keeps you in reactive mode all day. Then you apply a 7-day boundary that reduces access. This is not cut everyone off. It's a controlled experiment. 7 days. You're not changing your identity forever. You're removing one source of friction long enough to feel what your discipline looks like with peace. Boundaries fail when they're emotional. They work when they're procedural. So make it procedural. If it's an app, mute or remove it from your home screen for a week. If it's a chat, mute it and check it at one scheduled time. If it's a person, you delay responses, keep them short, and refuse the argument. If it's a work channel, you set 2 check-in windows instead of constant monitoring. You're turning constant access into controlled access. Here's why this works. Constant access makes you reactive. Controlled access makes you intentional. Discipline lives in intentionality. And let's be honest, social friction often includes comparison. You scroll, you see someone else's progress, someone else's life, someone else's body, someone else's money, and your brain starts quietly judging your own. That judgment drains you. It creates urgency without clarity. It creates self-disgust. It creates the desire to numb out. And then you wonder why you can't stick to your plan. You're fighting a war inside your head that you didn't need to start. So the boundary isn't about morality. It's about protecting your internal climate. Now, there's a second piece to day 5 that makes it even stronger. Replace the noise with one clean input. Not 10 podcasts. One clean input. Something that stabilizes you. A few pages of a book that has substance. A short talk that reminds you of your standard. A walk without input. Silence. The goal is not to become isolated. The goal is to reduce emotional turbulence so your discipline has room to breathe. Short landing line. You don't need more stimulation. You need more stability. Do this today. Identify the one social friction source, apply the 7-day boundary, and choose your replacement input. Then notice what happens. Most people feel a strange emptiness at first because they were using noise as anesthesia. That emptiness is not a problem. It's space. Space is where you build. And tomorrow, day 6, uses that space in the most reliable way possible, because when your mind is unstable, your body is the fastest lever. Movement as mood regulation, not as fitness, as control. Day 6 is movement as a mood lever, and if you only take one thing from the entire reset, take this. Your body can pull your mind back into stability faster than your thoughts can. Most people try to think their way into discipline. They wait until they feel ready. They argue with their mood. They try to motivate themselves out of anxiety, laziness, irritability, mental fog. That usually fails because the state you're in is not a debate. It's chemistry. You can't reason your way out of chemistry at the speed you need. Movement changes state. It doesn't have to be heroic. It has to be consistent and timed. The goal is not to become an athlete this week. The goal is to give your nervous system a reliable reset button that you can press before your day slips. Marcus wouldn't call it exercise science, but he understood the principle in Stoic terms. You govern the self by governing the body's responses. Training, enduring, acting rather than waiting. The body is part of your character. If you let it decay, your mind pays the price. Short landing line. Discipline is easier in a regulated body. Here's what movement does in the simplest terms. It burns off agitation, it lifts baseline mood, it reduces the sense of being trapped in your own head, and it creates a clean transition between states. That last one is huge. People get stuck because their day has no transitions. They move from bed to phone to work to stress to more phone. No reset, no boundary. Movement creates a boundary. So today you pick a daily movement practice at a consistent time. Walk, lift, mobility, push-ups, a bike, whatever you can actually repeat. The details matter less than the consistency. But make it real. Choose a time that fits your life and treat it like an appointment with your future self. Because that's what it is. If you wait until you feel like it, you'll do it on good days and disappear on bad days. And bad days are when you need it most. And I want you to notice the deeper pattern in the reset. We're not stacking habits randomly. We're building a system that reduces negotiation. Sleep anchor reduces fatigue-based bargaining. Food simplicity reduces energy-based bargaining. Hard task first retrains reward order. Social friction cut protects emotional fuel. Movement stabilizes mood. Everything is designed to make your brain less persuadable by its own excuses. Now, pick the minimal effective dose. Don't chase the perfect workout. Choose something that leaves you better than you started. For many people, the simplest version is a walk. A real walk. Outside if possible. Fast enough to shift your breathing a bit. Long enough that you feel a mental change. You're not doing it for steps. You're doing it for state change. If you prefer strength training, keep it simple. A few core movements, a short session you can repeat. If you prefer mobility, commit to it. The method isn't the point. The daily signal is the point. I regulate myself with action. Short landing line. You don't need intensity. You need repetition. Now here's the key moment. Use movement when you're emotionally pulled off course. When you feel the urge to doom scroll, when you feel irritable, when you feel restless, when you feel stuck. Move first. 5 to 10 minutes is enough to change the state. You're not running away from your problems. You're changing the chemistry so you can solve them. Do that once, and you'll understand why this is a discipline tool. It's not fitness, it's emotional governance. So today, pick your movement, pick your time, and do it even if it's small. If you miss the time, don't turn it into guilt. Just do it later and protect the consistency tomorrow. The identity you're building is not perfect. It's I come back. And tomorrow is day 7, the repeatable template. Because the goal isn't a perfect week. The goal is a life you can actually keep when the week ends. Sleep anchor, simple food, hard task first, movement, low friction inputs, built into a simple structure you can repeat. Day 7 is where you turn this from a reset week into a repeatable life, because a lot of people can do a heroic week. The question is whether you can keep the gains when the novelty fades. So today, we build a template, not a detailed schedule that collapses the first time you get busy. A template is different. A template is a small set of anchors that keep your day from bleeding, even when everything else changes. Think of it like a spine. Your life can move around it, but the spine stays. Here are the anchors you keep from the week. The sleep anchor, the simple food plan, one hard task before dopamine, daily movement, and low-friction social input. That's the whole machine. You've already practiced each part. Now you're just arranging them so they don't rely on your mood. Short landing line. Structure is kindness to your future self. Start by choosing your non-negotiables for the next week. Not 10, 3 to 5. The point is to protect your identity, not to overwhelm it. For most people, the strongest three are wake time, hard task first, movement. If those three happen, your day has a backbone. Food simplicity supports the backbone. Social friction boundaries protect it. But the backbone is, you wake on time, you do the hard thing before you escape. You move your body to stabilize your mind. Now, build the week around one repeatable first hour and one repeatable last hour. You don't need a perfect day. You need a reliable beginning and a reliable ending. The beginning sets the trajectory. The ending protects tomorrow. Your first hour template is simple. No dopamine first, drink water, and begin your hard block. The details can vary, but the order matters. Your mind learns order. If you start with scroll, the day becomes reactive. If you start with action, the day becomes intentional. Your last hour template is also simple. Screens lose intensity. Tomorrow gets set up, then sleep. That setup is huge. It's how you keep discipline from becoming a daily argument. If you decide tomorrow's meals and place your phone and prep your work environment, you wake up into a path instead of waking up into chaos. And this is where the daily ritual you wrote becomes the glue. 1 page each morning. Today's leak. Today's one win. Tonight's setup. But I want you to understand why this works psychologically. It forces awareness, and awareness kills autopilot. Most people live on autopilot, then they're shocked by the results of autopilot. Your one-page ritual makes you the operator again. Today's leak means you name what could drain you before it drains you. That's prevention, not guilt. Today's one win keeps self-trust alive because discipline requires evidence. Tonight's setup is you engineering tomorrow's behavior before tomorrow's mood gets a vote. Short landing line. You don't rise to standards. You fall to setup. Now, let's make the template real by choosing a minimum day version, because life will hit you. Travel, stress, bad nights, family obligations. If your template only works on perfect days, it's not a template. It's a fantasy. A minimum day is the smallest version of the system that still preserves identity. Wake time stays. Hard task becomes shorter, but still first. Movement becomes a walk. Food stays simple. Social noise stays controlled. Minimum day is how you protect the chain when conditions are messy. Here's the test for today. Write your template in 5 lines, like a code you can keep. Not as a schedule, as a sequence. Something like, wake at Tebi Cabrais, hard task before dopamine, 2 simple meals, move at Narns, Arnsk, screens down at Arns, Arns, Arns. Then commit to running it next week. And now, to close this reset, I want you to notice what actually changed over 7 days. You didn't become a different person. You removed the leaks that made you unreliable. You built a week where your environment enforced your standards. You trained your reward order. You stabilized your chemistry. You protected your mind from noise. You turned discipline from a speech into a system. So here's the question you carry forward. Which part of this week made the biggest difference in how negotiable you felt? Was it the sleep anchor? Was it the hard task first rule? Was it cutting the social friction? That answer tells you what your real bottleneck was, and it tells you what to protect next month. If you want a simple continuation plan, keep the template for 2 more weeks. Don't add new rules. Let the identity solidify, then adjust one variable at a time. That's how you build a life you can rely on. The 7-day reset isn't a finish line. It's a proof. It proves something most people forget. Your discipline isn't missing. It's been getting drained. And once you stop the draining, you don't need to become a new person. You just become a clearer version of the one you already are. If you remember one thing from this week, let it be this. You don't fix discipline by demanding more effort from a tired, distracted, emotionally overloaded brain. You fix it by building conditions where effort becomes the natural next step. That's why the order matters. You plug the leaks first. You anchor sleep so your mind stops bargaining. You simplify food so your energy stops swinging. You put the hard task before dopamine so reward stops leading your life. You cut social friction so peace stops being stolen. You move your body so your mood stops deciding your actions. And then you lock it into a template so you're not reinventing yourself every Monday. That's the Stoic part of this. Not quotes, not aesthetics. The Stoic part is refusing to live as a negotiable person. Marcus wrote to himself because he knew the mind will always try to slide toward comfort and call it reasonable. Your job is to catch that slide early, not with anger, but with structure. So here's what I want you to do when this ends. Pick one anchor from this week that you will keep for the next 14 days, no matter what. Not all of them. One, the one that changed your day the most. Then decide the exact switch that enforces it. If it's sleep, it's the wake time. If it's attention, it's where the phone sleeps. If it's work, it's the hard block before dopamine. If it's emotion, it's the boundary or the walk. Make it physical. Make it enforceable. Make it small enough that you can't rationalize your way out. And give yourself an audio cue you can use when bargaining starts. Something you can say in your head in one breath, like not later, next action, short, clean, immediate, then move. If this reset gave you even a little more control over your day, take that seriously. Control is rare, and it's worth protecting. Thanks for listening. If this reset helped at all, go to the channel page and pick the next episode that matches what you need right now. Discipline, focus, calm, boundaries, or rebuilding your self-respect. Stay close to the work and keep building a self you can trust.